Thank
you.
Okay, now you start recording. So, hello, everyone. We have a couple guests over here, and welcome to this month's Scientist with Wayne Aviation Series seminar. And I'm Xiao Yu. Today, it is our honor to have Dr. Deng Yu graduated from the University of Southern Queensland. And today, he's going to present us about his research regarding the response of Chinese dedicated air cargo industry to the e-commerce boom and the COVID-19. Focus on the network development and the service. So before we started at the Griffith University, we acknowledge the people who are the traditional custodians of the land and pay respect to the elders past and present, and extend that respect to other Aboriginal and the Torres Strait Island people. So now I will give you Dr. Deng the mic and the control, and the stage is yours.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Wu. Thank you for your invitation. Thank you everyone for joining us today. I'm delighted to have this opportunity to present my PhD study. I will talk about response of the air cargo industry in the Chinese market to the e-commerce boom and the COVID-19 pandemic. The study focused on the network development and the service of these cargo carriers in the market. So let's start. Yeah, I worked with express service providers in China before I came to Australia for my PhD study. I worked for an online cosmetic seller in e-com platform like Tmall and Jingdong. This photo was taken on the 11/11/2016. We have parcel volume like online orders on average around 10,000 per day, and at the peak time there was at the 11/11 festival it will reach over 600,000, which will lead to dispatch within 3 days from the warehouses. Yeah, and so this past experience triggered my research interest in the impact of e-commerce on supply chain management and air express service. Oh, so now back to my study. So first I will give some research background, and later the detail of the research motivation and the purpose and the specific research question will be presented. Afterward, I will introduce some new inputs of this research into the academy and literature. The thesis includes 3 articles, and those will be mentioned in the part of the thesis structure. And then the important methodology and research method will be introduced. Finally, the results and the findings will be highlighted in the last section. Okay, turn to the research background. In recent years, China has become the world's #2 economy and is turning to a so-called consumption-driven orientation with its booming e-commerce market. These circumstances are expected to drive development of the domestic cargo market. According to the Boeing annual report, it's expected to have an average 4.3% yearly growth in the coming 20 years. So China is expected to have the world's fastest growing regional air cargo market. And on the online purchasing relies heavily on the express delivery service, particularly by air. Yeah, because it's trying to fulfill the needs of e-commerce buyers, the individual buyers on the market. They are crazy. They can't wait to receive the parcel. Actually, they prefer they can send by the air, and so they can receive safety and fast. And However, the industry has become considered efficient because it's operating with less focus on the freight transport compared to the passenger one. Cargo delivery highly relies on the belly capacity of the passenger traffic, which is dominated by the passenger airlines. Cargo service and the schedule will be impacted to adapt it to the passenger flight schedule. And during the 2020, the global pandemic caused by the COVID-19 led to the most passenger flights being grounded. We all understood this unpleasant experience in the last 3 years, but now it's recovering now. The crisis raised the importance of the networks and service the all cargo flight. Yeah, so that's the research background. So why I want to do this this topic. And e-commerce creates a great demand and challenge as well. Originally, the most express company in China are so-called intercity highway express freight companies. They seldom use only the very important product or parcel. They will use the air to send by air. And these companies intend to use the dedicated air cargo service to improve or ensure they commit lead time to their customers. Sometimes the parcel is promised should be delivered within 3 days or in a remote area, probably 7 days. Yeah, but they have to commit the lead time to the customer. Otherwise, they will lose the business. So they have increased their substantial investment in aircraft, airport infrastructure, and other areas, including building the cargo dedicated, building a cargo dedicated airport. So the airport is only specific for the cargo operation. The new investment projects are expected to boost air cargo express service competitiveness. Right. And after COVID-19 pandemic outbreak, the authority like Civil Aviation Administration of China, CAAC, issue a document to promote some measures to facilitate the China's air cargo transport infrastructure development. So this document reinforced the need of the infrastructure for the cargo airlines, including fleets and all cargo airport. So we found this a common interest of the stakeholders. It's an ad hoc topic with e-commerce order fulfillment industry within the e-commerce order fulfillment industry. So it's necessary for us to understand how the networks and the service for the cargo flight develop to meet the e-commerce boom and the response to the public health hazard. So that's why the research focus on the networks and the service. So basically, it's essentially purpose to boost the development of the network is to match the requirement from the e-commerce, and also to tackle the challenge from the pandemic. Right. So the research aims to understand the development of the network. Therefore, the research addresses some principal research questions. So first, we need to understand for the network. We need to understand who is the main market player in China. Yeah, in my research, those who can provide the all cargo delivery service will be considering in my research. I will focus on domestic market, not including the outside international market. So understand their cargo network, how they develop their cargo network, and what is status of the whole China's dedicated air cargo networks. So finally, we need to understand the change within the pandemic period. And for the service, so I think there are things we need to understand first. Who are the main customers of the air express service? I think within this, in the e-logistic market, when we're talking about e-logistic, it's about the fulfillment order, online order fulfillment service. So sometimes the platform and the online seller like I work for, they will provide the free delivery service. So the express company was assigned by the seller. So actually they are the firm customer for this Air Express company. So it's like a third party for them to deliver the product to the individual buyer, to the end user. So there's from the marketing perspective, the satisfaction they give the end customers. I mean, the air cargo, the Air Express company, the satisfaction they give the end customer who order and receive their online orders are important to their firm clients. So that's and indirectly to impact. Their satisfaction indirectly impact on the whether the seller, online seller, will choose this Air Express company. Yeah, so that will impact the method how I develop to investigate their service quality. So first we need to understand the main customer first. Yeah, because we need to research their perception about what is the good service. So based on their opinion, we will find out the factor, the relative importance and the influence adoptions of the Air Express delivery service. So what the impact of these air quality factors on the logistics service performance? How the factors individually impact which kind of the field of the firm clients or even the end user. Right. About the contribution of research, so my research field gap in the literature on development of air cargo company in China. Yeah, most of study in the literature is focused on the top 3 Air Express in the world, like FedEx, UPS, and DHL. Yeah, so the research about the Chinese carrier is a bit scary. It's a bit scared. And I also compare the cargo network with the passenger airlines ones in existing academic literature. I'm doing this because, as I mentioned before, the cargo used to highly rely on the belly capacity of the passenger flight. So we need to understand if we're using the all cargo networks, whether it will have some kind of impact, like the schedule, like the timing. Is this convenient? Its convenience can compare with the passenger flight? Yeah. And I think the next contribution of this analysis is not investigating the impact of COVID-19, but also review the unique network patterns in China, because this, as we know, is a leading e-commerce market in the world. So we need to understand how will the well-developed e-commerce market have the all cargo market, how the service for this kind of market. Yeah. And the topics about e-commerce will be more significant in post-pandemic, because we think a lot of article has said the pandemic has changed the purchasing behavior of the consumer in the retail outlets and accelerate the shift to the e-commerce. Yeah, people was forced to isolate for a long time and compulsively to protect themselves from the COVID-19 virus. They just can order online from their home. So it's very significant change on their behavior in the future. And the last, we fill the gap on the selection of the Air Express delivery service provider. Yeah, as I mentioned in the previous slides, I will use the angles, like how the firm choose the third party to help them to fulfill their logistics service. So I refer to the existing literature on like the normal transportation, marine transportation, how they choose the third party to help the client to finish the delivery to their consignee, deliver goods to their consignee. So yeah, we fill the gaps specific on air express delivery service provider. Right. Okay. Yeah, here's I have three thesis. Sorry, I have three articles in my thesis. So the first one is about the Chinese air express integrator. The second one is the whole country's network, how the Chinese schedule freighters network during the first year of the COVID-19 pandemic. And the last one is service quality dimensions of the air express service providers. Yeah. Okay, talk about the research method. And for the network investigation, I think I used the complex network theory. This is widely applied to analyze the country's air passengers cargo network. And the nodes and edges, the design is pretty simple. It just focuses on the nodes and edge. Actually, we can put weight on the edges if it's necessary, because some flights from the different city pair are different. Like if the passenger flies from the Tokyo to the Beijing, yeah, it's very lots of passenger will fly on it. But if the Beijing flight to some remote city in China, there were less passenger. So different edge will have different weighted sometimes in this kind of research. Yeah. I also applies the weight on the edge in my research. Yeah, but we didn't find the too much different if we cheat the edge is different. And outlines a spatial structure with the index and Dyndo's connection efficient or not. This is very good method to measure the network, whether it is good or not. Yeah, good for evaluation and capable to describe the network pattern. And the centrality will help us to understand the individual rules of the navigable cities. Yeah, just like I saw the note. Yeah. And correlation because group from the different roles in correlation analysis for the relationship between the groups of the nodes. Yeah, this is kind of that describe the whole pattern of the. But I'm not going to go deep into this topic. Yeah. And the other one is gamma index. It's about the ratio of the maximum feasible number of the routes. Yeah. And the last one is the beta index, the average routes of each node. Yeah, both of them, the large value of these two indicators is better connectivity. Right, for the service, I applied the circle model theory. There is a more theory used the 4 dimensions for the service quality. And referring this theory, another study in the literature, the hypothesis structure model will develop to assess experience empirically its relationship between the essential service dimension to the customer satisfaction, which is referred to the all perceived service quality. And this would influence the customer's decision on the air express service provider selected. Right. This model is applied to measure the gap, actually the gap between the consumer's expectation and their perception of the service received. So what they expect to have this service and what exactly they think they have after they had this service. Use this theory, and other existing literature, I proposed the hypothesis structure model, and use this model. We have a survey questionnaire and decision on choosing the air express service provider. And the target response are the full-time managers, like what I did before, yeah, who have full knowledge of and responsibility for the e-logistics operation. He or she should understand the service quality requirement in the air express industry. So the first, maybe the daily job related to the cargo picking, handling or handover is about the operation part. Yeah, as confirmation with the system operation, the paperwork, or second management, or planning, or problem solving, or service control. The third category of this manager will be the decision making, participate in the third party selection, and making the company strategy or policy. And they have some responsibilities may involve more than one category. So all about these people who are doing this operation, so will be the response for this survey. After we collect this data, I'll use the structural equation modeling to analyze the survey data. Right. The thesis consists 3 articles. Therefore, I grouped the results and findings into 3 parts. So now let's go through the results and the finding achieved. So in the first article, we need to understand what is the integrator. It's not a very common definition for the air express service. Yeah, but it is existing in the literature. We all call it integration because they integrate the whole service from the door to door, the end-to-end air express service. They not only the airport to airport part, but also they will collect and pick up the parcel pick up at home and deliver to the door of the consignee. Consignee, yes. And the global leader will be the FedEx, UPS, and DHL. And in China, there are 3 carriers fulfill this definition. So namely the Shunfeng Express, Yuantong Express, and China Post. Here's the basic information about them and the CNT, the complex network theory figure results. Right. The nodes is about the city they have, and the edges is the routes from this city to city. And the average degree is about the average each city. They might connect to the several cities different degree. 1 degree is the one city they connect to. So this is the average of all these nodes. Right. You see the Shunfeng Express is a fast-growing competitor in the market. Actually, it wants to become the China's FedEx. So at leading domestic integrator, so Shunfeng Express has been developed its subsidiary Shunfeng Airlines and rapidly. Though the size is not comparable to the state-owned, the big 3 passenger airlines, back the air cargo airlines. Yeah, they're kind of cargo company. They use the big passenger airline to deliver the product, and even the Shunfeng's capacity still can compare with them, but it's growing very fast. And now by September this year, they already have 75 all cargo freighters. Now my data is on by the end of 2020. At the time they have 61. Yeah, you can see it's growing very fast, like almost more than 5 airplanes each year. And Yuantong is also another private company. It is the first express company to sign the official agreement with the Alibaba Group, and it's received their investment for the air cargo development as well. And China Post is a state-owned company. Performance very stable. Yeah, so I'm not highlight here. Right. So as mentioned before, the research compared the Chinese integrators with their international counterpart in the Euro market. So we can see that there's still some gap between the Chinese cargo carrier with other international company, considering the scope navigable city and the edges. Yeah. Right, and the weekly available freight ton. But the connectivity figures, the value are very close. Yeah, not that big gap. So overall, is network of this company are still capable to perform understand or not bad service. Yeah. And here I want to highlight the one-way freight flights percentage. Shunfeng has only got 9%. That means they perform their airlines return flights for each city. Because in order to save the cost, sometimes the air cargo company will apply the one-way. It's a triangle or circle routes it's not returned, because sometimes it's from the manufacturing center to the consumption city. So there's no backhauling, no back cargo from where they received the cargo. So they need to turn into another city, and then it goes around back to the original city. So here's the finding we have is, so carrier business develop a strategy to shape the network pattern. That means these three companies has different network pattern, all based on their business strategy. Like I mentioned, the China Post is very stable, so they have a big coverage, but just not too many edges, not too many routes to reach there. It's not based on not quite based on the volume. It's based on the coverage. And the Shunfeng developed their network based on the order they have between the different city. In the big routes, they have more flights to them. And the Chinese integrator had the great development in their network 1 year after the COVID-19 pandemic. And the private integrator was the main force in the driving whole nation's schedule freight network optimism. And in the comparison with the European carriers, we found they have a very developed hub and spoke structure, have a higher degree of centralization. In contrast, China's integrator has both hub and spoke and the point-to-point structures. So which means it makes the network less centralized and more complex. It's not quite mature enough. Yeah, we have said that. Yeah. And Shunfeng Express schedule air freight network. It's a fewer one-way flight, has higher density and demonstrates different topological features from its counterpart in the Chinese domestic market and the Euro market as well. So we are arguing it's like maybe because Shunfeng have they have a massive delivery volume from e-commerce orders, and the cargo demand and the flow of Shunfeng Express reach a very good balance in the network. So I think in the post COVID-19 pandemic period, if the influence of e-commerce on air cargo become more significant, so maybe the air routes might be more balanced, because it's the volume from the e-commerce. It's like a different city, they have a different product. It doesn't like the air cargo network before. It's the manufacturing was concentrated on some kinds of manufacturing area, and they deliver the product to the consumer consumption center, which is located in the city. But in the e-commerce, the consumers everywhere in every city. So, but they also produce the product like a fresh product. the people can enjoy the different fresh ground plants and crops from other city. So I think this makes more good balance on this. It is already showing the sign of it, yeah, from the Shunfeng Express. Okay, enter the next part in China. So it's about the whole dedicated air cargo service provider in China. So they shape the whole country's network. We have this 9 carrier run the domestic cargo flights in 2020, and more than half of them belong to logistics company. And like Superana Airline, Tianjin Airline, and in particular Air China Cargo, they have a very strong passenger airline background. And Air China Cargo is established in 2003 by the Air China, based in the Beijing Capital International Airport. And in 2010, Air Cargo China became a joint venture between the Air China and the Cathay Pacific Airway. Yeah, you can see this cooperation with Hong Kong company. Oh, and this chart of the model of the Chinese scheduled freighter network. So you can easily discover that the routes are concentrated in the southeast part, the most developed area in China. So different routes have different weekly available freighter ton. Yeah, to showing the importance of the routes, the edge. And we calculate the CNT figures for 4 schedule period. Some remote cities, you see some actually is reduced in the 2020 winter spring schedule. That means that some remote cities have been removed from the network, but the routes increase. See that? Yeah. So the efficiency here is, you see, has been improved during this time. So in this table, we can see the number of direct flight increase. Yeah. So the average past lengths are decreased. Yeah. Yeah, here the average pass length decrease because the more direct flight. Okay. So by compare with other full-service national airline, passenger airlines, we can find the dedicated air cargo network is not much inferior to the belly capacity in the passenger flight network. Considering the more professional service and the timetable, dedicated air cargo service is not bad choice for the consignors. Yeah, and we've moved to the part of centrality measure. It's my favorite part of the article because it tells me the function and the importance of each airport in the network. And I need to search more information to interpret the figures. And I found it so fascinating. If you're interested in the parts, you can check the detail in my article. So this degree and you find these 3 cities, the importance. And here, closest is centrality, Chinese centrality. Yeah. So here we find the most significant airport in this network. Hangzhou and Nanjing and Shenzhen. Hangzhou and Shenzhen are the Shunfeng airlines hubs. Yeah, you can see that chart. And the Nanjing is the hub for the China Post. Yeah. So the finding about the analysis is the payment fund display the scale-free network, small world property. So with some kind of extend the scope. Yeah, this this is not a random network, so it's have been developed. And clearly, during the pandemic period, it was developed rapidly and was undergoing continue. And not likely due to the substitute effort. And we think the higher air cargo demands during the pandemic and the airline realization of the importance of the freighter operation is the main reason for the boom of the air cargo network development. And the route patterns almost duplicate the passenger traffic imbalance in the three eastern China megacity, like they concentrate on the southeast part. And we found the three main cities become the dominant national hub for this network. We also find some important intermediate airports such as Wuhan, Beijing, Tianjin in this all cargo. Yeah, they function like a transit points between the hub city and the remote city in this network. Right. Okay. Into the parts of the service. As introduced before, we use the service model theories and other study in the literature to develop the factors and the perceived service quality variable and build up this hypothesis, the structure model. So sees how important to the customer satisfaction. So the first one is the industry performance, delivery performance, operational capacity. Yeah. Actually, the big group of attributes and other sub criteria. Right. And we collect 200 complete questionnaires, and we can see the demographic category of the response. The shippers and e-commerce operators occupied more than 50%. Yeah, so this is other. The e-platform logistics arms is like China. They are the company established by the e-commerce platform like Alibaba, like Amazon. Amazon also get their own air flight. Yeah. So these people are working for this logistic arm. And the rest is work for the forwarder and solution provider. We're calling this the fourth party. They don't have the fixed asset. They don't even have a fixed asset of the logistic. They're just providing the solution to the online seller. So here the results of the statistical assessment. So actually we found the delivery performance and the operational capability is not quite significant. So that's we found that overall, based on this result, the company in the industry should meet the customers in the preferential pricing, customer experience, safety and risk cover. And I think overall, the unique feature of this finding is e-logistics market make air freight express different from other third-party logistics outsourcing operation. Customer satisfaction of the end user is concerned for the air freight express third party and their client. Online order is the whole matter of its individual buyer. It is not just a situation where a firm evaluates its third-party operation through a ratio of the bulk of all the delivery within a period. Yeah, that's what we used to be for the company to company. They deliver a truck of the product to, like the truck with the 1,000 carton or 1,000 parcel in a truck, but it's probably lost 1 or 2 carton or damage. But it doesn't matter for it's not harm for the company. But one parcel for the individual customer is their whole consignment. So the customer experience, the end user's experience affect the word of mouth response. Small things can be magnified greatly, and the mistake can often cause a huge problem for the third-party logistics company client. I mean, here is the online seller. Yeah, one customer, they have a bad feeling about they have lost their parcel, will have a very bad impact to the whole company or even the whole seller. And when it's impossible to achieve 100% zero error condition, so assisting the customer in solving the problem and compensate them with some kind of financial loss of the customer are things the company should concern about. And due to the competition in e-logistics operation, the scale and the fast service of the land transport network can no longer provide a great advantage in the market. Air transport capacity has become capacity that's differential the scale of operations. It shows that there are difference between the freight express company in this, and the company with advantage can have a better outcome. The findings support the strategies of the company. They focus on building their own air freight cargo capacity. Yeah, and we also considering about the impact of the pandemic, and we found there's not too much different before or after the pandemic, and because we checked the other existing literature, they conduct study on impact of the logistics service quality on customer satisfaction during the pandemic. They revealed it is important to protect consignment when they are delivered and passed on the customer. Logistics service must be highly responsive to the customer requests, and these dimensions are aligned with the result in this thesis in the e-logistic customer, being more sensitive to cost and after-sales service. And so we can argue that our model presents has considering this factor in respect to the impact of COVID-19. And so that's all for today. Thank you for your listening to my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for Dr. Deng's great presentation. I'm going to turn off the recording at this moment and open the floor for any questions for Dr. Deng's research.
Thank you.